Going up to the site. Enjoy. Thanks, Brandon. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Jeff Warnick. I'm the Senior Director of Theme Park Development for SeaWorld Parks Entertainment, and welcome to Waterway Grill. This looks spectacular, doesn't it? With all the renovations in here, we know this is going to be the premier location for all of our guests to come and have a great meal and a drink after they've conquered Infinity Falls. So speaking of which, anybody ready for a breakfast beer this morning? Yeah. So we are really excited to be able to give you a behind-the-scenes look about the construction for Infinity Falls. Now, this project started a few years ago. We were looking at our existing attractions, and we all know that SeaWorld has a world-class collection of roller coasters. But we took a look at our water. I think about SeaWorld, right? Think about the ocean and the water story. So we wanted to be able to enhance our existing guest experience. If you went in the park right now, the only ways you'd be able to get wet would be on Journey to Atlantis or maybe standing in the splash zones of the One Ocean show and get splashed by one of our orcas. So that's really where the idea behind Infinity Falls was born. So our team traveled the globe to take a look at all of the best river rapids experiences and take all of those little nuggets to be able to create Infinity Falls. We also took the latest hydraulic engineering technology to create a super dynamic ride experience. So our guests who are exploring Infinity Falls, we allow them an opportunity to be able to travel down a lost jungle river, be able to encounter whitewater rapids, be able to lift up a vertical lift, and a record-setting drop. We are really excited about this opportunity because it is a family-friendly attraction as well, and it also gives us the unique aspect of being able to tell a freshwater story, a freshwater message for our guests. Because at SeaWorld, we're all great on talking about the ocean and conservation of the ocean, so we wanted to tell a little bit different story about rivers and streams and ecosystems that are so fragile, especially in the rainforest. Be able to tell that story and how important it is for our guests to be able to have conservation messages and learn about how they can take what they learn here at the parks home with them and abroad. So Infinity Falls is over a 5-minute adventure that families will be able to enjoy together. They'll be able to splash, have fun, and we know this is the best way for them to make a splash this summer. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Williams. He'll tell you a little bit more about the stats of Infinity Falls.
Good morning. The ops team is super excited to be able to add this ride as part of our portfolio of in-park experiences here. We have, in this category, we have truly a family ride. And the family ride, by our standards, is we're able to have a 42 inches or below height requirement for our kids. And so the whole family is able to enjoy this ride. We also have an ADA switchback, which allows our guests with disabilities to be able to load in and load out at their own pace. The base camp here, the load-in platform, truly inspires you and takes you to a unique experience to an Amazon base camp. At this base camp, we're going to load in 8 riders per raft, do a journey every 26 seconds. The full journey of 5 minutes takes place, and it takes you through an experience of rapids and a couple surprises that we'll talk about and you'll see out here a little bit later. One of which, as Jeff mentioned, is a 30-foot incline that takes you straight up and a 40-foot drop. This 40-foot drop, as I mentioned, is the world's tallest. We're really excited to present that. Janelle is going to give us a couple of, Janelle's going to talk about this actual storyline behind Infinity Falls.
Hi, I'm so excited to be talking with you today about the story of Infinity Falls and the village that surrounds us. We have created a cast of characters that we call the SEA Collective. This is a group of scientists, adventurers, and explorers that are driven to make a difference in the world. They've been traveling remote areas of South America and have set up camp at a river that's clearly been celebrated and embellished throughout history. They've fallen in love with this river too, and have even added a few embellishments of their own in their free time. You'll see the hints of this SEA Collective footprint all throughout the site as we walk it today. One of the main features that I love is our artistic entryway, where SeaWorld's animal ambassadors will provide guests up-close encounters with animals, some native to South America. After several months of work in the jungle, this team of the SEA Collective received 2 cargo containers of provisions helicoptered to their site. And they converted those containers into a new space for all to gather and called it the whitewater supply. See some images of this. Of course, the team also needed a place to recharge and conduct some of their more delicate botanical studies, which is here in our waterway grill, and we see some of those up here. And to talk a little bit more about the culinary programming, I'll turn it over to Kyle.
Thank you. As Janelle said, the culinary team is really excited to open our Waterway Grill as part of the Infinity Falls attraction. So Waterway Grill features 2 key components. The first is a walk-up bar for our guests with 12 craft beers on tap and underneath package, so we're looking at about 20 craft beers total. This actually brings our total in park of craft beers on tap each day to over 50, which is pretty remarkable when you think about the kind of bar and beer locations we have in the park. And then on the other end, we're opening 2 guest service meal facility lines where we're going to feature a South American-inspired menu. And that menu is really anchored by 2 of our fan favorites from our 7 Seas Food Festival. The churrasco steak and the South Cow chicken salad. You can see some images of the food that we'll be offering. And then finally, going back to what Jeff mentioned on the water conservation side, a portion of some of the products both here in the culinary facility and our whitewater supply location for merchandise will be donated to the Everglades Foundation. So a great opportunity to talk more about the water conservation piece.
Guests will see the thread of water protection, conservation, and replenishment messaging carrying into 3 interactive games, which we are calling Play to Save the Water. And going into the attraction itself, finally, in the jungle-enveloped queue, the SEA Collective has established a modern, efficient campsite with a light footprint containing all the equipment they need to live and conduct their research. It ends at the station, where the modern engineering details and bright colors contrast with the ancient, natural, and embellished rockwork features. The first scene of the ride, coming out of the station, takes us into our beautiful new Caribbean flamingo habitat. Here, 16 to 25 flamingos, all of which were hatched here at SeaWorld, ranging in ages from 1 to 7-year-old. This will be our first stop on the attraction, as well as our first stop when we go out to the site to walk around. Also there at that stop, you'll see a great view of the feature we call the portal. This is the first entry into the ride and where the action will really start to pick up as we enter the first section of world-class rapids. That stretch of rapids ends at Cayman Crossing, where a striking pair of Cayman-inspired rockwork is set against the bridge from the main guest path, followed by a jump down into the serene section of the ride, Prism Falls, a beautiful rockwork formation featuring 3 cascading waterfalls. You'll be able to see great views of these from the bridge and our 3rd stop on the sanctuary. The rides continue up the inclined conveyor lift, flanked on either side by a series of sculptures containing water features that will shoot into the air and across the ride path. That lift drops you into the most exciting and thrilling stretch of rapids on the ride, and culminates in the most thrilling feature of the ride, the vertical lift, of course, which will feature a cascading waterfall directly beside which guests will quickly be lifted into the air. And our second stop on the tour will feature this scene. You'll be able to see it firsthand. Then, of course, from the top, we are dropped 40 feet, the tallest drop in the world for a river rapids ride, splashing down guests safely into the station where they enter. So, with that, I will turn it over.
Enter and exit the attraction. As Jock mentioned, it's a continuously moving queue line, so the ride vehicles will not stop in the queue, so that gets us the best throughput on the attraction. We're about 1,000 people an hour theoretical capacity for the ride. So guests will exit heading south, so towards our direction right now. They'll go through this first, I would say this is our slow entry level portion of the ride, the rapids, to really set the tone and the mood. be able to get some nice views of flamingos. Then they'll make a left turn towards our large portal element. So if you guys can see that in the background, you may have to move around from all of our landscaping, but that's the first section of Crazy Rapids. That's where it starts. What you don't see right now is there's a water curtain that'll be flowing underneath that portal, and it'll part like curtains at the very last minute right before you dive underneath and start your rapids run. So this area you can also see where we're starting to create our jungle experience over here, right? So all of the great landscaping, we probably have about 70 or 80% of the trees in right now. When it's all said and done on this attraction, we'll have over 700 trees that we've brought in to create this jungle. And we are really we're creating a jungle one tree at a time by swinging them in with cranes and all kinds of interesting access to be able to make this happen. So from a queue perspective, that area is in that lush jungle, if you will. You can kind of see some of those tent structures popping over your head. So we also have some of the props over there, and that's really where our story begins. That's our base camp where our guests, while they're in the queue, will be able to learn about the explorers who have traveled here previously. So another interesting aspect over here, the largest tree that we've brought on site, we actually relocated. It's a ficus tree, and it's over 22,000 pounds. It took 3 cranes to bring it over here to set it in the middle of the queue. It's going to be a nice shade structure, or a nice shade element for the guests as they're waiting for their ride. So there are not many river rapids attractions in the world that actually have a vertical lift. So we are really excited to bring that technology to this experience. So not only do we have 2 world-class level river rapids runs, but we also have this lift element that will take guests from this elevation up 30 feet into the air and will drop you over the edge 40 feet for the record-breaking drop on this type of an attraction. So this also is very unique because you can see that wall behind me. That wall is going to turn into a waterfall. So you'll have water cascading in front of you. So you'll actually be lifted up the waterfall, which will be a really cool experience. The time it takes to get from the bottom to the top is only 5 seconds. So you're going to get this great moment to be able to lift you up to the very top and then push you over the edge. So it's going to be a very dynamic part of the experience for the ride. So what you can see behind me is some of the pumps. So from a nerdy technical perspective, I'm pretty excited about those. We've got 4 large pumps that have 269,000 combined gallons per minute flowing around the ride course to be able to create this adventure. And if you think about how much work has happened over the past year or so for construction, I mean, if you think about natural rivers and streams and how those take thousands and thousands of years to be able to create, we built this in a matter of months to be able to go from the existing area, renovate it, and convert it to this attraction. One of the biggest challenges that we had from a construction and design standpoint was to be able to fit within this existing footprint, because we had the former terrace restaurant, we had our ambassador animals, that building was also flanking the side of the site, as well as behind this over here, the green building is our soft serve stand. So we had a very tight footprint to be able to create this attraction. But what it does, it made us be more creative with how this looped across itself. So you'll notice when we go to our final stop, how the ride has so many different great levels that are underneath each other. The ride goes underneath the bridge, it goes around itself, we create islands out there. So from a non-rider perspective, you also get some amazing views of this attraction. So from the vertical lift standpoint, really excited to be able to see that work. Over the past few weeks, we've been commissioning that particular piece of ride gear. So we put a raft on it, we've been lifting it up and down, it works great, looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. We've also been running water as part of our commissioning process on the ride. So we run water in both our north trough and our south trough. Let me tell you what, it is going to be a great, intense, fun ride. It looks like so much fun. I can't wait to be on the raft for the first time. Anything I missed over here?
No, the one thing I did want to mention, you might have noticed as you were walking into the waterway grill that there was music playing. So that's a piece of our original music composition. It's our village theme. All throughout the ride we'll have that style of music layered throughout the ride, the queue, and the village. And I'm really excited about that component adding to our ride experience.
We'll let everyone have a few minutes to take photos here, and then we'll go to our final stop on the site. And that gives you the...
Look at the track.
So vertical lift, waterfall feature, down and around. I don't know if you noticed the guys being really cool with her.
Hold out a little steady for 1 minute while I...
It looks like drop. Ooh, under the bridge, splash. Everyone gets wet. Ha 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 ha. Bren's over here. Oh, bye. Into the final element. Yay. And you can see all the different ride track areas, how it's going to crisscross on itself. More bloggers, construction workers, people. Great view, guy giving the tour. And of course, all rides must end near the gift shop.
If not, I know there's lots of really cool views and angles that we want to show everyone. But right now you're standing on the main pedestrian bridge to get from the park proper onto our Infinity Falls realm. So this is going to be where all the guests are going to be hanging out because there's so many cool views here, so many neat things to see. So I'm going to point those out as we're going through to be able to give you a sense for just the mass and scale of this attraction and what's going on here. So directly behind me is our whitewater supply. That's our new retail gift shop that will be opening very soon. We're getting that stocked right now. That should be opening up prior to the attraction opening. So that's a good preview of the types of merchandise and the experience that guests will have on the ride itself. So guests will be able to walk through in front of the whitewater supply. And you can see on either side here, we've got these totems that are flanking either side of the pathway. And if you remember what used to be here before, this was our sea garden area where guests were able to interact with our ambassador animals. So we had snakes and sloths and those types of animals, South American influence type of animals. And we're bringing them back because we know that's very important messaging for us to talk about those animals and why it's critically important for us to be able to conserve their environment and their habitats and the fresh water that runs through them. So we've got these neat totems, and the influence there, we can see it looks like a macaw on the left side over here. On the opposite side, there's a snake. And on this element here, we've got some tree frogs and sloths as well. So those will be great backdrops for our ambassadors to be able to come out here. They'll bring them out periodically, and guests will be able to interact, learn more about them, and have those great elements which you can only find at a park kind of like SeaWorld. So as you walk further towards the bridge, you can see where all the action happens with this attraction. The main entrance is directly in front of me. You can see where right in very front is our new waterway grill. We'll have a new entry icon main sign up there, and that'll show where the big entrance is to that facility. It's going to be very popular, obviously, because we've got not only a great menu, but it's air conditioned. We know that's very much a premium during the summer months. The entry to the ride itself, you can see that large rockwork structure on the left. That is our main entry ID. That'll have water flowing in it. You can see there's a little bit of influence on there from the Infinity Falls logo. So if everyone kind of looks at everyone's hard hat, you can see those vertical stripes going down there to create the I and the F. You can see that influence inside that rockwork. It'll have water cascading down, say Infinity Falls on it. So that would be a great way to enter the attraction. Guests will walk towards the left. They'll cross this blue bridge. So all the guests in the quick queue and the main queue will cross over there, so they'll be able to see the river rapids ride underneath them. Then there's a meandering queue through that island, and it is actually an island that we created up there because the ride circles the entire queue space. That large ficus tree I was mentioning, that's the one in the center over there, so you can see how big that is. That was not here before when we started, so we relocated that. We also have some other landscaping that we're placing in there. And as guests are waiting through the queue, this is where they'll find about the messaging for the explorers. They'll see the people who were here. We've got some really cool props. You know, looks very much like a base camp setting. So they've got all of their, you know, what you'd imagine as explorers. They've got their hard hats, their climbing gear, they've got their drones, they've got their kayaks and canoes, so everything you can imagine will be over there. So it'll be cool things to look at and explore while you're waiting in line for Infinity Falls. Once you exit the queue, you get onto the main station. You exit the station heading south towards the flamingo habitat. Then you'll make your way towards the left over here, and if you look over the bridge on the left side here, that's where the first section of rapids is exiting. So you can see those serpentine curves back and forth, and if you look very closely, you can see that the floor of the trough is not flat, and that's by design. To be able to create some motion in the floor creates a much more dynamic hydraulic experience for the guests. And we specifically chose these rafts, which are a little bit smaller than other rafts that you've seen. They're only 8-passenger rafts instead of like 12 or even bigger rafts. And that allows the ride experience to be very dynamic. It's going to have a lot of motion back and forth, which equals a lot of fun for our guests. So as guests exit this first section of rapids, they'll duck at the last minute underneath this croc head. So Janelle was mentioning that earlier. If you look on this side, this crocodile reptilian looking rockwork, you'll dive right between the teeth, which will be pretty cool. You'll go underneath the pedestrian bridge. This is our large waterfall element. So Janelle mentioned earlier, we've got 3 waterfalls cascading. We call it Prism Falls. It's going to be really pretty. We've already done some tests on it. It's going to look really cool. Guests will, on the ride, will wrap around, and then they'll go up the inclined lift. So you can see that horizontal lift that kind of goes from the bottom towards the right, up towards the left. And you can see those mini totem elements, those blue structures. So those are influenced by the main entry icon that's going to be installed here shortly around the vertical lift. Inside those is speakers, they've got water jets, everything's going to be splashing above you, just lots of craziness as you're going up that incline lift. Once you get to the top, you'll have a second set of crazy rapids run, wrapping around towards the vertical lift. You guys all saw the back side of the vertical lift. What you don't see, which you saw earlier, is that you don't know where the raft's coming from, and all of a sudden you'll just see that raft pop up on the top of that drop and then shoot down 40 feet, world's tallest drop for River Rapids ride. Big splash moment underneath the bridge, and then taking them back into the station. So over 5-minute ride experience. It's going to be really thrilling, a lot of fun from beginning to end. We're also pretty happy about the fact that it's going to be family friendly. With these types of attractions, with the circle, everybody's looking at each other, right? And one of the best parts and most fun parts about it is everybody able to see each other get wet and smiling and having a good time. So having your friends and family on board makes the experience even that much better. So other elements that we're going to have, you've got to have ride photo, right? So you can see these black poles will have a photo capture element as well. So as you're dropping down the big drop, everybody will be screaming, get your photo. And then we also have lockers available for guests who don't want to get all of their elements wet, as you can imagine. And we also have haystack dryers. So after you get off the ride, you'll be able to get in one of those haystack dryers and dry off. On this bridge as well, we also have water geysers, so you'll be able to put a quarter in or whatever the cost is and get everyone else. If they're not wet enough on the ride, put some money in and splash them yourself. So it's always a lot of fun element for these types of attractions. Right, here's a little bit cooler. We can answer any questions that you may have in there.
Regular lift hill, they're going to wrap one of those around the lift hill right there so it kind of flows in style. Yeah, absolutely.
Anything